If you're thinking green card via employment or investment right now, do you go the big money route with EB-5 or the credentials route with EB-1A, EB-2, and NIW? Well, today we are going to break it down with real Reddit questions and real life profiles. So I hope that you're excited for this session that's lined up. Welcome everyone to Immigration Talk Show. I'm your host, Napasa, and I'm going to be here with you for say 30, 40 minutes. And it's going to be a whole good session with a lot of information since everything is going on all at the same time. So yes, to help us discuss this topic for today's discussion, EB-5 or EB-1, EB-2, and NIW. What's the right path based on your profile? We are going to have our guest for today. But before that, I have this important disclaimer to keep in mind. So, by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. I hope you keep that in mind throughout this session, friends. And feel free to join us with your questions. You can also join us on call. You can already see the number on the screen. The number is 425-436-6335. And when they ask for the access code, dial in 988-888. This is your chance. So join us. And otherwise, watch us live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And do follow us. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. And now, without further ado, please help me welcome our guest for today, none other than Attorney Charles Kuck from Kuck and Baxter. Thank you so much, Charles, for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Napasa. Thanks for inviting me. It's another exciting day in the United States, and happy Diwali. Totally
Happy
awesome.
Diwali. Thank you. Thank you, really. Thank you. And to all you folks out there, especially from India, thank you for joining us and happy Diwali to you and all your loved ones. So, Charles, with everything happening, what do you have to say? We are all overwhelmed, I think.
We were talking earlier. This is like that movie from last year, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That's what we feel like with the Trump administration. It's like just do everything and see what happens. And that's actually, honestly enough, that's their plan. This is not an accident. The time we're living in is not an accident. It's all intentional. So let's get down and talk about some of these really interesting topics, especially, as you noted, the big money topic of EB-5 or the gold card. We can talk about both of those because they're both very interesting. We seem to have lost Napasa.
Can you hear me? So
Now
sorry
we
about
got
that.
you.
But
Now
yes,
you're back. Now you're
happy to have Sid Mohan once again. Thank you for joining us. One of our regular viewers, I would say, very actively participating with all of his questions. So, Sid, I'm going to take up your questions, but for now, stay with us. And Charles, what do you suggest? What should folks do, especially today's topic, EB-5 or EB-1, EB-2, and IW?
Well, Napasa, you might don't know this. A couple of years, I guess it's been just a little over a year. I wrote an article called "The Visa Apocalypse is Upon Us," talking about the big backlogs that are everywhere. Right, there's these big backlogs on cases for Indian nationals. The one area that's not, and in fact, they're backlogs that are so big that they're just useless at this point. They are not providing the route to a permanent right to remain in the United States. That's just not realistic under most EB-2 and EB-3 categories. So which boils down to basically there's three categories left. Absent marrying a U.S. citizen, you can always marry a U.S. citizen and get a green card in a few months, right? But absent that, you've got the EB-1, making you a person of extraordinary ability or making you an outstanding research professor or some sort of multinational transfer, all much harder under the Trump administration. Being an EB-4, which is a religious worker, which even that is 10 to 15 years, or the EB-5. Now, the EB-5, I was talking to a colleague last night who does many, many, many Indian EB-5s. And he told me last night that right now there's about a 7-year backlog for Indian nationals in EB-5s. So if you invest today in an EB-5, you are not going to get a green card for 15 years. But if you're in the United States, you can adjust status. You can file the adjustment even though it's not current. That's the law that passed 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago. So you can get a work permit. So you're no longer tied to an H-1B employer. So this great benefit of EB-5, which is that you're not tied to the employer, you get a work permit, you get a travel document. I mean, it's fantastic, right? The downside to EB-5, and the hard part about EB-5, is getting the right investment. You know, where does this investment have to go? So the rules are you can invest in a regional center in a high unemployment area or one of these special projects, which are really hard to come by at about an $800,000 level, or you can do the regular EB-5, which is anywhere, anytime, any business for $1.2 million. The interesting part, Napasa, is that I was a lawyer in 1990 when EB-5s were created. I did one of the very first EB-5s back in 1991 for a Canadian guy who wanted to get a green card. He's a pretty wealthy entrepreneur. And you have to keep in mind, back then the numbers were 500 and a million. So $500,000 in 1990 dollars is like a couple $100,000 today. What many people make on a yearly basis, just their base salary, if not more than that, right? So, but back then it was big. $1 million in 1990 was huge money, and as was $500,000. So there was very little usage of the program, really, for the first 8 or 9 years until somebody got the bright idea of combining investments. Right? Back then it was, I'm going to invest. It was kind of like an E2. I'm going to invest. I have to be the owner. Somebody realized you don't have to be a majority owner in an EB-5. You just have to be one of the owners and make sure you're creating enough jobs for all the other owners who are investors. So you might have, 10 investors, but only 2 are EB-5s. So you only need 20 jobs. You don't, even though you've got 10 investors, you don't need 100 jobs. So a lot depends on that ratio. A lot depends on the EB-5. How, what is it? And I will tell you, when I talk to clients and I say, well, is the EB-5 right for you? Besides what we talked about, which is, look, I'm going to get a work permit, and yeah, it's going to take me 7 years, but I'm out of the H-1B loop, which is great. But you have to understand this is the number one issue. Will you get your money back? Now, the reason that EB-5s, I think, have become very attractive in the United States for people in the U.S. on H-1B visas for 4, 5, 8. I've got one client been on an H-1B for 13 years, because he keeps changing jobs, right? So he makes $400,000 a year. So if he's frugal, he can save $800,000 in 4 years, easy, maybe 3 years. I mean, it's pretty easy to save that money today if you're in the U.S. and you're really good at what you do. So that's why you're seeing an explosion, especially of Indian nationals going to this. But it's the same questions you have to ask. When am I getting my green card? Am I going to make any money on my money? Which is question 2, which is usually no. This is not that kind of investment. This is the riskiest of investments you can do. And 3, will I get a green card? And here is something that a lot of lawyers aren't talking to you about, that there's like a 30% denial rate. There's a lot of regional centers that these companies that form to take your money and my money and the PASA's money and make an investment that are just poorly run, that are not successful, or if they're successful, they are unsellable. It's one of the vital things as a lawyer that I tell people is I am not an investment advisor. Do never listen to a lawyer ever about investment advice, ever. Don't even ask your lawyer what to invest in, because any smart lawyer will say, I don't know. Look at me. I'm a lawyer. If I knew what to invest in, I'd be an investor. All right. So don't listen to us. So what you have to do is hire a qualified investment advisor, broker. There's not a lot of good ones out there, Nabasa. There's not. There's only a handful, really. And you gotta ask these hard questions. Am I going to get my money back? And if how? If, for example, we see this all the time. You're investing in a large real estate development like Hudson Yards in New York. Hudson Yards took in $1 billion in investment. But you know what's happening to all the Hudson Yards investors? Very few are getting their money back. Why? Even though it's a very successful project. Why? Because that money went to build roads, parking lots, buildings you can't sell, things you can't sell. Well, if you can't sell it, you're not getting your money back. So that's why doing smaller projects or even self-directed projects at the 1.2 million may be a better investment for people. But again, investment advisors. But EB-5s are really important right now because they're the only real way, short of marrying a U.S. citizen, out of the H-1B treadmill or what do they call it? Guinea pig wheel, whatever they call that thing. So Deepas, I know you've got questions on this, but I thought it was really important to get that EB-5 position out there. It's still a very good thing, but I do want to add this. Who would do an EB-5 with a 7-year wait period if they could just buy Trump's gold card, right?
I was just going to come to that, because
right,
we have the Trump gold card, 50 million.
Yeah, well, it's $1 million, right, for the gold, and apparently you can buy a platinum card for $5 million, whatever. I mean, all of that's just made up, right? You know that there's no basis in law for this, but our president cannot make laws, right? He cannot change categories. So he has this idea that he's going to have to turn into a regulation to fit within the 5 preference categories where we are. He can't put it in the EB-5 category because that's all regulated. He can't add this to it. So the only 2 places that they could put a gold card, short of getting Congress to pass a bill on this, which they're not going to do, because there's a lot of Republicans don't like this idea, right? Is either change the regulations on EB-1, extraordinary ability, and make the ability to invest basically gift. It's not an investment. You are giving the money to the U.S. government. That is an extraordinary ability. You get a green card. Or 2, make it a national interest waiver. Well, EB-2 doesn't help any Indians at all because EB-2 is backlogged for 150 years. So it would be a waste of money for an Indian to do a gold card. On an EB-1, the wait time is probably about the same for an Indian national in EB-1 as it is in EB-5. But there isn't, the downside, of course, is that money's gone. The upside is you don't got to worry about jobs. You don't got to worry about failed investments. What you do have to worry about is the next president of the United States canceling it. You say, no, this is stupid. We're getting rid of it. It's illegal. But worse, the moment that regulation is final, whenever that is, I can guarantee you there will be lawsuits to stop it. Guarantee you. I will be one of the ones filing it. I will guarantee you. Because it's illegal. You can't change the system. Because if the gold card is legal, DACA is legal. And Republicans have spent the last 13 years saying DACA is illegal. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I know you got some questions. I've been ranting now for like 12 minutes.
No, but really good. That's a lot of good information for all of us. And I think you have opened the whole conversation for all of us to have our questions answered. But there was this question whether, U.S. government is actually now favoring money over merit. What do you have to say on that?
Well, I don't think you can say the U.S. government is. I think you can say the Trump administration favors money over everything. Everything. Okay. Justice, honor, duty, it's all subservient to the almighty or formerly almighty dollar, which is now in one of its weakest positions since Nixon was president. So there you go.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Charles.
Let me ask you a question, Deepas. I have a question for you. Is the dollar weaker today than it was a year ago in an exchange value situation? It's stronger in India?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
So the exchange rate is worse for Indians today than it was a year ago?
It's definitely higher. The rate, 80 or 85 Indian rupees makes $1.
And how many a year?
Back.
And how many a year ago?
About a
Maybe
year
you don't
back, maybe a couple of years back, it was about 75. So you can say 10 rupees of increase like that.
because in virtually every country of the world, it's worse. Like the dollar is weak all around the world, except for Argentina. But we just bailed them out, so they're okay. I heard you're going to stop buying Russian oil. Congratulations. I don't think that's true either, but that's okay. But there's a couple of really good questions here about the EB-5 program that's asked. This one from Faved Ali. The first,
yeah.
He's got two questions there.
Let's take it up.
Really good. Can we pull that second one up? Is that possible?
Sure, yes, we can. So, Papat, here we have what legal safeguards exist to protect EB-5 investors, and why does the investment often carry significant financial risk despite government oversight? Is that the one you want to answer?
There are no safeguards. None. Zippo. Zero. This is an investment in English means at risk. And this is the most at risk money at all. I mean, this is like buying junk bonds and housing bonds in 2007. This is the worst. This is truly the worst investment you can make. The only good thing about an EB-5 is you ultimately, as an Indian national, in 7 to 9 years, you get a green card, which is 150 years faster than every other way. And, I think there's a problem. I mean, obviously, the massive problem here, Nipasa, with this. And go to the next question, because the next one he put in is equally as important. Can we put his next question up? This is vital. Is it not the responsibility of the government to ensure a reasonable expectation? No, it is not. Under any circumstance has the U.S. government ever ensured a reasonable expectation of a recovery of capital, ever. Being approved as a regional center, for example, carries no guarantee that this is a good investment. It just simply states that the proponents have crossed all their I's and dotted all their T's. It is only recently that our Securities and Exchange Commission is getting involved in punishing people who abuse investors and shutting down illegal investments like giant pyramid schemes like the EB-5 Center in Vermont, J-Peak, which started out regularly but ended up being a gigantic fraud in which thousands of people lost hundreds of millions of dollars. So you enter the EB-5 program at your own risk. At least with the gold card, you're giving your money away because that's what you're doing. But again, never go into an EB-5 thinking that you're going to see that money again. That's how you have to approach it.
Thank you so much, Charles, for taking that up. And Fawad, thank you for your questions. And he actually has come back. What happens if my investment is lost? Making gradually is loss-making gradually.
My investment
but you're never seeing the money again. So Charles has already said that about
you're never seeing the money. What that means? I have no idea what that means. This is why doing your own EB-5 Nipasa may be better, or getting up with a couple of your friends and buying a hotel. Get a franchise from Marriott or whoever, build a hotel. You're going to spend $3 or $4 million. You're going to create 10, 20, 30 jobs. Boom, you solve the problem. You don't need to be in a regional center to do that. You can find a high unemployment area. I'll give you a great example. So I'm in Atlanta, and I'm in a nice part of Atlanta called Sandy Springs. But oddly enough, literally outside my window, there's a major road. On the other side of that road, in a very nice area, is a high unemployment area, which means literally across the street, you could do an $800,000 investment in an area that is very high end, except for one thing. It's full of apartments. And because it's full of apartments tend to have way more unemployed people than neighborhoods with houses, because you have a house, you're not unemployed, right? You need a job to pay for a house. So by quirk of statistical, anomaly thing here, you could do this in really nice areas. You don't have to be in some really crummy area where you're going to get shot if you go outside at night. There's some good places you can do this. So again, EB-5s, you should look at your own self-investment in that. It's possible. But Nipasa, one word of a caution. Don't do a restaurant. Really. Worst business decision. I happen to know that from my parents' personal experience. Restaurants, terrible investments. Great to feed your family, terrible for investments.
Okay.
So what else
Thank
we
you
got?
so
You got
much
a
for
lot
the
of
great
questions here.
business ideas.
Nipasa, you got 20
Yes,
minutes.
so many
You got tons
questions.
of questions.
Yes, there are. So let's take up one from Shamim or yes. Yes, Shamim. Let's take up Shamim's. I got rejected under 214B for my F1 visa with my F2. My sister, a US citizen, is my sponsor and petitioner. My parents are green card holders. Officer asked 4 questions, refused. Please guide me.
You know, we're seeing this massive numbers of denials for F1s and F2s at the consulates in India since Trump became president. It's nothing but racism. 214B is a catch-all, basically category that says, you didn't prove to me, the consular officer, that you qualify for the visa. Well, if you've got an I-20 and you've got the money in the bank and you've got the background qualifications and you got the plan to come back to India when you're done studying, then why are you denied? There's only one reason: racism. I mean, there's no other reason, right? It can be no other reason. A lot of consulate officers will tell you, well, you just didn't prove to me you're going to go back home. I have seen this, Navasa. A lot of folks go to the consulate and they get told by some person outside, yeah, just say this when you go inside. Literally, do not trust the people outside the consulate telling you what to say to consular officers. Talk to a lawyer, or better, Nipasa, I've got a really good friend here in Atlanta, and she has a website called visas101.com. She is a former consular officer. She herself has done 30,000 consular interviews. She has on her team other former consular officers. They can train you on how to apply for a visa, what to say. They can give you what we call an elevator speech. Why aren't you paying somebody like that $100, $200 to get trained on what to say? Consular officers are the same throughout the world. They're looking for key words. They're looking for you to be able to say in 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 14 seconds, what you're going to do and why you're going to do it and why you're going to come back. And you have to have that memorized in a natural way. Talk to the people who know how to do this. I mean, I give a big shout out to Duden. Duden Freeman is the person that runs that site, and they do individualized consults. It's worth every penny. I'm telling you, they're very good at what they do. And I will tell you this, Nipasa, I haven't been inside a consular interview since 2000. Do you know why? Because in 2000, the embassies cut off lawyers. So there's no lawyer in the world who has been to a consular interview, unless it's their own, since 2000. So who knows more about those consular interviews, me or a former consular officer who's done 30,000 of them? Talk to the expert. Always go to the best source of information. So I'm telling you, that's not lawyers. Okay, it's not.
But thank you so much, Charles. I mean, as there's so many comments, I would just like to tell every one of you out there to not forget to like our video wherever you're watching us. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Our handle is @Immigration Talk Show. So yes, it's important that you also support us. And thank you, Charles. I mean, those were great ideas, and wow, what enthusiasm. And we have Dan joined us. Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for joining us. Charles, yeah, he's talking about the painting on your wall.
That painting is actually from Peru. I bought that on the street. I used to live in Peru, and so I have a very deep heart for Peru, and I love Peru. I have a house in Peru, and so I surround myself with things that I love, including that painting, because it reminds me of a country I love very much. I do have some successful EB-1 artist clients, and I have some of their stuff in my office. For example, over my shoulder here is a glass. You can't really tell it very well. It's a glass sculpture of Don Quixote. I don't know if you know who Don Quixote is, but he's a very famous story about him called The Man from La Mancha, written by Cervantes in 1565. And it's a guy that chases windmills and they're all not real, and he kills dragons and they're not real. And so I love that guy because it's what I do every day. I chase dragons and kill bad people in my mind, at least. So yeah, that's what this is. I love art because I can't even draw a stick figure at Basa. I've got this. I do have this from a very happy client of mine. Let's see, but there we go. There we go. Now, do you know who he is?
Yes, he's a Lumanji.
Yeah, so I was from a very happy client of ours who gave it to me not that long ago.
More power to you.
On a deportation case. So, yeah, so and we have many Indian clients, obviously, here in Atlanta. But
thank you so much, Charles, really. And you know what? We have a lot of questions and comments, but at this moment, I would really like to take up some of these Reddit comments because some of them make sense, some of them maybe not, and just let us know because there's a lot happening and control. Yes, if you
from
just
Robinson.
say something.
Let's
Robinson, just see if it's rubbish or real.
Yeah, Robinson's got a couple good questions here if you can find those there.
Sure. Let's take them up.
On Reddit itself. Okay, so let's see. These were your YouTube questions. Got approved without RFE on 14th J, rejected by many lawyers. Yeah, there's a lot of lawyers that will, reject stuff, and that's why good lawyers take cases that are hard. We do hard cases all the time.
Yes.
The interesting thing to PASA is I don't have a huge H-1B practice. Our practice, we do everything, and we have like 50 people at our office, but we don't have one client that sends us 50,000 cases. We're not Fragaman, we're not Bal. So we do a lot of work for other lawyers who either can't handle like RFEs like this or who don't know how. And so we do lots of, I call it crazy stuff. We do lots of crazy stuff to fix situations for people. So are there any questions there? Because I don't see, I just see a statement there.
Yes. Any recent EB-1 AOS 485 approvals after interview? Are there any?
Well, I'm sure there are. I mean, immigration is approved.
But there are a lot of 214Bs for sure. I mean, here we hear every other interview is rejected. I mean, they're not able to either, let their intent be clearer whether they're returning back to the home country. I think that's what is the main challenge here.
Well, I think you have to understand that right now things are difficult across the board intentionally. This is all intentional. There's no accident. Oh, Trump's trying to fix things, but they're doing no. This is all intentional, made to make the process harder for everybody. All you have to do is look at his first term, when the number of legal immigrants reduced to its lowest level since 1789. Ever in the history, the lowest level was in Donald Trump's last year as president. That's not intentional. His office, his administration, his agencies, and even his judges are all staffed with people who do not want immigrants, especially immigrants of color. Now, you can call it racism, you can call it nativism. I just call it what's happening. And there's no dispute to it. They don't hide behind it. All you got to do is watch Stephen Miller on Twitter and some of his radically nutty ideas, but he controls this. Trump doesn't control this immigration stuff. This is controlled by Stephen Miller, and it's all intentional. And remember, even though it seems like forever, he's only been president for 9 months.
It's fair. There's a lot more coming. I think we'll all have to just be ready and look out. And for that, friends, don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we come up with the latest updates only for you. At Immigration Talk Show, check us out not just on YouTube, but also on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on Instagram. So now let's take up some more of our comments. Christopher just joined in. He's saying, I'm currently on an L1B and thinking about my long-term green card options based on my profile, tech background, some patents, and international experience.
Well, honestly, Christopher, you're from India. You're an Indian national. Your only option, if you want a green card, your only option as employee, is somehow getting an L1A, which may require you to leave the country again, work as a manager or executive, and then come back under an L1A. and then process an EB-1C as a multinational manager executive. EB-1Cs take exactly the same amount of time as EB-1As. It's the same category. There's no sub-listing of the 40,000 green cards. So honestly, it's probably your best option.
Okay. Thank you for taking that up for Christopher. Christopher, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And let's take up another question. This will be from Robinson or Shamim. What visa officer look at F1 and F2? Okay.
Well, they're looking at F1. They're looking at, do you have the funds to pay? What your intent? Why are you going to study in the United States as opposed to staying in India? But the most important thing they're looking at is, will you come back? Because you have to prove you're coming back to India. If you've got your mom and dad over there or your sister Sally over there, you're probably not coming back, so you're probably not going to get an F1. If you don't have a legitimate explanation why you're going to Georgia Tech to study engineering as to how you're going to use that engineering degree when you come back to India, then you're probably not going to get the visa under the Trump administration. So this is not Biden. This is not Obama that encouraged foreign students, and we're very liberal on this interpretation. This is Trump, who does not want you. True. I mean, I'm just saying, you need to open your eyes and see what's really going on here.
Yes. And thank you again, Charles. Shamim, please don't forget to stay connected with us by subscribing and liking this video. We have Sid Mohan. And Sid, sorry for keeping you waited for so long, but I think we can pick this question. Can one invest EB-5 stipulated amount in the startup of a CEO friend's startup to be eligible?
Absolutely. And what you're going to need, of course, is a detailed business plan. I mean, obviously, make sure your friend's got a legitimate business plan. I mean, it's like any investment. But you don't have to go to a regional center. You can do it on your own. You can be a 10% owner. You can be a 5% owner. You can be a limited partner. You don't have to be a majority owner. So absolutely you can do that. Just make sure you get the best deal possible. And again, the key is making sure they're going to create those 10 jobs within the 2-year period. Now, if you invest today in the EB-5, just one of these regular, let me open up the Visa Bulletin real quick. So you're investing in a regular, not a regional center, not a special EB-5 of any kind, just a regular old EB-5. They are all, the unreserved have a backlog of 7 years. Okay, so you're going to do that. You can do that, but you're not getting, and you can adjust. If you're in the United States, you can adjust, right? You can file your adjustment, but that's going to be pending for 7 years. And you got to make sure in this kind of circumstance that business is going to be operating 7 years from now. You got to be sure of that. Okay. And that's why regional centers, which have greater protection, one, and which they have set, these are called set-asides. These are rural set-asides, high unemployment set-asides, infrastructure set-asides. They're all current. So they don't have a backlog. You can be approved in months for a green card under that category, but you can't under the unreserved numbers. So you can absolutely do it, just understand that you don't get the immediate green card benefit from it.
Sure, but thank you so much for addressing the November Visa Bulletin. And to folks out there who want more information, check out our channel at Immigration Talk Show. We actually covered what is happening in the November Visa Bulletin for Indian immigrants out there. So check it out. And Charles, we do have more questions, and I think I really wanted to ask you, because engineers and researchers say, I can build rockets, but can't get a green card, while investors get approvals quickly. Does that align with America's stated immigration goals?
No, of course they don't. Of course they don't. But this administration doesn't care. You literally have the vice president of the United States saying, we can build our own rockets. We don't need help from anybody else. I guess they must have forgot about Werner von Braun after World War II. It was the only reason we put people on the moon, right? The idea that we brought immigrants in to do that job. I'm telling you, these people, you cannot talk sense to a nativist. You can't. You can't. So no, they do not align. They absolutely don't align. And, we got 3 years and 3 months left. And hopefully the American people wake up in that time and put somebody in the White House with an actual desire to help America, as opposed to only themselves.
I really hope by Thanksgiving we have a lot more things to be more thankful about. So the next one, though, I have another one. EB-5 is often called the green card for the 1%. Is that unfair criticism or a valid concern about equity in the system?
There is no equity in our system. There's no equity in our system. If you thought there was equity in our system, somebody misinformed you. There's absolutely no equity in our system. Evidenced by the fact that we only give 10,000 of the 140,000 green cards a year to unskilled workers who make up about 40% of our workforce. There's no equity. Our system is always bent towards helping the, quote, the elite. It is the system that America has. Now, the thing about the EB-5 that's interesting is when it was created, it was truly for the rich. But by not keeping pace with inflation, I mean, the EB-1s should be a $1 million, $2 million visa instead of 800,000, 1.2 million to keep up with it. But even today, there are so many people making multiples of $100,000 a year that it's certainly not the 1% anymore. It's probably the 5%. But no, you can criticize it all you want. And a lot of Republicans hate the idea that we sell green cards to, quote, rich people. But we're not the only country that does it. And if you want to bring in people that have wealth, you do that because they know how to create wealth. And you want people with wealth because they create jobs. This is what they're saying. They create the jobs that everybody else does. That's not necessarily true anymore, by the way. But that's certainly something that they believe.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for that. And I just want to know how much more time you have so that if you
like
have
5 minutes before I start my next live on my own YouTube channel.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And so my next is, can someone with both money and merit file EB-1A and EB-5 together? That's the question. Is dual final strategic or risky?
So I didn't is that question up? I want to see, because with both money and merit file EB. Oh yeah, you can do both. There's no risk in filing. You can file an EB-1, an EB-2, and an EB-3 all at the same time, and an EB-5. They're all separate things. So the theory is, well, if I've got the money to invest in EB-5, I must be extraordinary, right? That's kind of the theory, and that's why they're put the gold card in there, near as I can tell.
Why not the O1 then?
O1s are a little different because you have to basically show that you've got a plan to work in your O1 field. O1s, I like O1s because there's no limit to them. There's no lottery. There's no time limit. You can keep getting O1s forever. But the moment you become an extraordinary, I'll give you a great example. A lot of athletes get O1s, but what happens when they're no longer an athlete? And they coach. Well, they're not an O1 coach. They're just a regular coach who happened to be an O1 athlete. So sometimes the time may end on an O1. Whereas with an H, you can basically keep renewing till the end of time.
But I wonder what's going to happen, especially with the fee hike, $100,000 for H-1B plus.
Well, that's never. Nobody's ever going to pay $100,000 for that. They're not.
Haven't they started already since yesterday?
No, they have no. Well, they created the rule, but I've already sued. All right, me and my colleagues at Impact and other groups, we've already sued the government. There's no valid basis in law to require this. It just doesn't exist. And and of course, it does take time, and we'll probably go ahead and file a preliminary injunction shortly. But it's not. There's no way it's the law. You can't just put fees on stuff, and it's not a fee. It's tax. It's tax, and it's going to impact. Who does it impact more than anybody? Indian nationals coming over to work in the United States. Because if you're in the U.S., it doesn't impact you. It doesn't impact you if you're there and changing status. It's only if you don't have any status in the United States and you get petitioned. Then you need to pay the fee to enter the United States. So at the end of the day, it's never going to see the light of day. We will win this case. Again, this is more about messaging, and they know this, but this is more about messaging than it is about reality. You want to scare people. You want to say, oh, give up on America. And honestly, I've told a number of clients at BASA, go to France, go to Germany, go to Australia. And at least they want to.
Oh, well, Charles, what could I say? But many believe America no longer values the best and brightest, only the richest. Do you see the truth in that already, though you haven't answered that, or
Oh,
just
no,
frustration
that's
with the system? Everybody is frustrated.
Well, I mean, they should be frustrated. A lot of Indian Americans voted for Trump. Now, now they're paying the price, right? We
That's
have
not the truth.
massive racism against Indians. Get the vice president of the United States, who is married to the daughter of Indian immigrants, is coming out against Indians. I mean, come on, really? This is what you might not have liked Kamala, but at least she wasn't a hater, okay? And these people hate you. They just do. Welcome to America. Now go home.
What can we say? Well, to wrap this whole session up, Charles, if you have any final words or tips, maybe for those out there navigating the e-visas.
Obviously, what you want to do is make sure you get competent legal advice. There's lots of good lawyers in America. There's even more bad lawyers. You have to understand that. And Google reviews and the word from your friend or your cousin Matilda is not necessarily the best way to pick a lawyer. You want to find somebody with a lot of experience, necessarily with gray hair, but certainly gray hair helps, who will tell you the truth, and whether it's something's easy or hard, and so that you understand the process. You're going to go with people because a lot of people go to America and they don't actually have a lawyer. The company has a lawyer, right, Nafasa? The company has a lawyer. That lawyer is not your lawyer. Many of them won't even talk to you. You can always get your own lawyer to explain things to you so you know what's going on. It's worth the investment of talking to somebody in a consult and getting advice about how things work. And certainly not, Nabasa, relying on ChatGPT to get your immigration direction.
That's funny, yes. But when you say Matilda, it reminds me of that movie, the little girl with magic. I wish we had cousins like that, though. We talked a lot about movies today, I think, with Charles. Let's wrap it up on a good note. Thank you so much for joining us. And folks out there, don't forget to check out Attorney Charles Kuck from Kuck Baxter Immigration Firm, and check out the website, the link which you can see on the screen. And thank you so much, Charles, once again. It was lovely having you. I'm already looking forward for another session.
Me too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great day. And folks, thank you so much, each one of you, for joining us. Don't forget to check us out. We are Immigration Talk Show. Check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on Instagram. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to keep commenting wherever you're watching, even after the stream has ended. And also share this content with your friends and folks out there who could benefit most, because we are about all things American immigration. Check us out, and don't forget to also ring that bell icon so that whenever we have discussions like these or the latest updates, you're notified first. And feel free to also reach out to me. You can WhatsApp me or email me. You can also call me on my number. My number is 408-335-6444. And my email is nipa@staffingly.com. But this is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. But stay in touch with us in all our platforms. And thank you once again. Have a great day. Snipasa saying bye for now.